that, and that button goes to there. This. Crap. Okay, copy that, tweet that. Yay. I did tweet that on the right account. Yes, 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 yes. And we go here, add everyone, boop. And we go here. Okay, we should be up on all the things. Should have tweeted and pinged and everything. We've muted everything, I think. Now we've muted everything. We've got stream up. We've got everything that we need to make a show. Good evening, fellas and lady fellas. Let's see, are we bringing in people? We got 7 and 5, and we've tweeted, and we've retweeted, and we pinged Slack, and we pinged Discord. Okay. All right. Good evening, people. So we're gonna run a little bit late. Because I still want to go through. My computer crashed right before the stream, so we're a little behind. So if you'll give me just a moment to finish going through the outliers, just to make sure I didn't miss anything, we can make the show a thing. Feel free to ask questions and talk in the chat. All the chat should be open. Information on how to join our new Discord should be down in the doobly-doo below. I'm also going to tweet it out by the end of the show as well. So, yeah. So bear with me just a sec while I get the crap together. Slicers were on the thing last week, weren't they? Yeah, for the same reasons. Okay. Nope. Nope, don't care. Praetors are a little interesting. That one's interesting. We will put that on the show. That button, that button, that button. That's a little interesting, not that interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, we're going to share that. That one's interesting too. Let's see. Was I smart enough to make a plot of logistics? I was not. I am an idiot. How do I not have a logi plot? Oh, that is depressing. Well, I can fix that as soon as I get the new plotter up and running, so... All right, I think that is a show's worth of slides. All right. That button. All right, so Noisy Gamer is asking, let me make sure I get the quote right. Solar Fleet took a station from Stainwagon today. If drone Russians wind up jumping on test side, what does that do to the market? And the answer is I have no fucking clue, because I don't track the individual metas. Only that if more people are dogpiling on the fight, that I expect more volatility. I expect more action in the markets we're going to talk about. But as far as specifics beyond that, I don't have an answer for that. let's see. We got 12 there, and we've got 9 there. Looks like we got some people finally showing up. So, seeing as we are running a little bit behind schedule, let me go ahead and do the intro and tell you guys how to cover some FAQs for anybody who's new. We're still running pretty lean on the membership in the channels right now, so go spam your favorite Discords and Slacks and Corp chats and such. So oh man, it's been such a week on my side of the internet. Doing a big push to rework an orphaned project and hating myself because I do way too much. I'm my own worst fucking enemy when I write code, I swear. 6 months ago, me is an asshole and can't do shit. So I've been cleaning that up. And again, I'm still behind on my automate the slides thing, even though that would get me back 2 hours a fucking week. I just can't find the time to continue working on it. It's starting to piss me off. I've had a lot of reach outs from people, fans of the show, some DMs and such. One, feel free to contact me on any platform. I will get to it eventually. That being said, in-game and Facebook are the literal worst places to get in touch with me. I just don't check them very often. The very best ways is to join our Discord. Links are down in the doobly-doo. Slack, the Tweet Fleet Slack. Again, links are down in the doobly-doo. And Twitter are the very best ways to do it. And also there is an email box, prospermarketshow@gmail.com, which you can get to me. All of these I will read, I will get to. So feel free to reach out. I'm wondering, the latest stuff I've been hearing over December from fans is still more, how do I get into some dev fleet topics? And this just might be me wishful thinking because that's what I want to write about. And my answer is that you should come join the Discord because we're going to talk about more dev fleet stuff in the coming months. And that if you guys have opinions on whether we should do more dev content, I'd be more than happy to do it. I just need to figure out a way to make it digestible because there are very few good programming YouTube videos out there. I don't know if you've tried to learn that way. They kind of all suck a lot. They're pretty awful. They're boring as hell because it's like, oh, here you click on this and then you click on this and then and then watch out for this and then you type this in your command line and now you've made an app. Aren't you so special? Whereas I always try to make this more entertaining for as dry as the content is. I do like to believe that I'm somewhat entertaining. But to do that, the drier the content, the more work it is to make it interesting. I have some things bouncing around in the back of my head, but and hopefully by the end of the month I can start crunching on some of them. But I really need to get through. I really need to automate the slides. That is number one, priority 0. And then once those are automated, I can cherry pick the next project. So if you have opinions, send them to me. I do love hearing from you guys. So some quick Q&A. One, welcome everybody to the show. It does run about 30 to 45 minutes. We usually start at the top of the hour. I'm running a little bit behind today. I don't tend to answer questions during the show, but I do read the chats. If you do have questions, feel free to ask them. People in the channel may be able to answer them while I'm giving the presentation. We will also have a 30-minute Q&A after the show where you can go ahead and ask your question and I can explain it in my meandering over-explanation way. The plots are all made in R. I have most of the profiles shared, but it's hard to share the data. All of our data comes from public sources. That's things like Eve Central, Zkillboard, and Crest. So nothing we do is specifically Skoogum. It's nothing is secret. So I try to get that open and shared. The backend is run with Python. I really do love Python. It is the best programming language. And if you don't believe me, we can 1v1 at the Sun. And I'm trying to bring up more of that. If you want to follow that development, if that's at all in your wheelhouse, I suggest you follow us on github.com/eveprosper. So where all of the show code is going. That V2 work keeps just crawling along. So if you're interested in helping, do stop by the Discord. Do get in touch with me. There are some... I am stuck in the mud at the moment, so yeah, we will make that so. And then I guess the last thing is tell your friends about your favorite market show. Tune in. Oh, last thing, right. We do simulcast on both Twitch and YouTube. If one is blocked and the other's open, feel free to do that. I know if you're blocked and you can't hear this, whatever. We also are streaming at higher quality on YouTube if you want to get us in glorious 1080 HD. Twitch caps us, though. They've recently allowed mere mortals like me to transcode, so I might start broadcasting at a higher resolution for that. Actually, now I'm curious. I am at 1080. Good. Okay, excellent. So, with that, let's give that one more one of those. And let me press a couple of buttons and we will make this show happen. That button, where is that button. Good evening and welcome to the first show of the new year for Eve Prosper. I'm your host Lockefox and I'm here with all of the Eve market economy news that you need to be ready for the fallout of the Winter War. With that, let's start where we usually do, talking about the show to the beautiful blackbird that's right in the middle, whose ass is right in front of the camera. Oh, sorry, that's a probe. There you go. Thanks everybody who is tuned in now. We've got quite a few people tuned in live. We are back in our regular time slot. That's Thursday night, 0400 Eve time. That's Friday night US time. We should be back in this time slot going forward. Sorry, EU guys. I can only do EU friendly streams on the weekends or when I have the day off from work. So until the next holiday lines up on a Friday, you guys are SOL. I am trying to get more office hour streams going. They seem to be reasonably popular. I don't know if I can fill the entire 3 hours, but 2 hours seems to work out. So be sure to be subscribed to us both on Twitch and YouTube if you want to be up to the latest whenever the stream goes up. Again, follow the you should follow the show. That's we're Eve Prosper on everywhere. That's Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. That will get you. All you got to remember is Eve Prosper. We announce most of our stuff on Twitter. And special note that may have gone missed last week is that we opened up our Prosper Discord. Information on how to join will be down in the doobly-doo below. Do please join us on our Discord. We're talking about Eve stuff. We're talking about dev fleet stuff. We're talking about IRL market stuff a little bit. That's where we're going to end up moving. Now, we're still active on the Tweet Fleet Slack, and I do encourage people to join that as well. Links, again, are down in the doobly-doo below. Especially if you are interested in dev fleet topics, there is no better place to get in touch with developers for that. Last but not least, before we go into the show for reals, I want to thank all of our patrons. We are kept on the air thanks to our patrons at patreon.com/EveProsper. Even $1 a week goes an extremely long way. It keeps the show ad-free and keeps us on the air week over week. It keeps our servers online. It keeps our licenses paid. It gives us shiny new hardware. It makes this show self-sufficient. And so if you get value from the show and you really want to help chip into the beer fund, even $1 is extremely helpful. If not, don't feel like you're missing out. We do not hide any content behind our Patreon wall. I do believe that this show should be free and clear for everyone. Otherwise, if you can't support us, please subscribe. I like seeing those numbers move up and to the right. Tell all your corpies about your favorite market show, Eve Talk. So with that, with all of that spam, let's go ahead and get into the real meat of the show and talk about Plex. And start the correct button and start talking about Plex. So, Plex has been down for the last few weeks. If you guys are tuning in just for the first time after a few weeks, after that Christmas break, getting over your New Year's hangover, Plex has been weak throughout December. And I did say last week that I was expecting things to move towards 950, but signals are kind of changing. And I'm not sure if I want to stand on that ground as much anymore. So if we look at the 1 year view, we can see that prices are starting to creep off that billion floor. Volumes are still staying relatively steady. And I mean, the price is not unexpected, but is trending upwards for the moment. If we zoom in on it, we're starting to see supplies start to creep back. As the winter sales have ended, it looks like less supply is coming to the market, and we're starting to get under that magical 1K number that I personally use. The 1K supply number, as you can see, if I turn on the laser pointer, as the supply chain starts to get a little bit weak, we will see prices trend up. Now, with the action happening in perimeter, with the Citadel, I forget whose Citadel it is getting exploded, that could unleash a torrent of that could break the buy wall that we're seeing. We've been seeing some really staunch pressure to keep Plex above 1 billion, and if Major Citadel gets shut down, we could see a lot of that buy order pressure evaporate, giving us room to get down to 950. But with supplies starting to sink, and some features that we're going to talk about in the next section of the show, I I think that we're on a course to stay steady at 105. Maybe I have a really hard time saying 1-1 in 4 weeks, but we're looking into neutral to positive territory in the upcoming 2 to 3 weeks, especially with the war going on. Zooming in on the RMT markets, looks like Resculpt certificates have gone completely haywire, so I may have to remove them from the plot. And skill extractors are starting to really lead Plex at the moment, which could be a leading indicator for Plex. I don't tend to think of it as a leading indicator. I always think of it as a lagging indicator. But we've been very strong. It's been a better investment to cash in with injectors than Plex for a little bit. And that trend is continuing more so than expected. Zooming in on the injector market, we're starting to see as Plex prices creep up, we're seeing the margins trend down very slightly. Again, this is more due to the price heading down than the price of injectors going down, more so than the price of Plex going up. This may be a signal, if we zoom in, of people doing sell-offs. Again, signals were really good last week when I was on the show to say to sell, and though volumes are staying relatively stable and lower than expected, I had actually predicted higher volumes last week than we actually saw. Things are trending back down to 625, and I don't know. I think that they should hold at 625. But it's in a downward trend, and we may see more cash out as the war heats up. Next, moving into market indexes, let's talk about general productivity. Net trade is staying relatively flat, which is interesting to see that mineral trade is tracking up. All non-RMT markets, which is this red line in the middle, are trending up, but the collective RMT markets are staying steady, which is an interesting signal to see. Again, this is probably due to December, things being quiet in December with more supply coming in than demand going out. But it's interesting to see a trend that usually we see the tide rising all boats, and especially it's very rare to see the non-RMT markets move when the RMT markets are staying steady. So this is an interesting signal, and I'm not really sure what it means at the moment, but we will be keeping a close eye in the next couple of weeks. Next, looking at total destruction, we saw a lull last week during the Christmas and New Year's breaks. This is to be expected. We didn't see one during Thanksgiving right after Ascension, but we did see one during Christmas, New Year's. Now, still, that level of, 12,000 kills a day is still much higher than the median that we've been seeing for the last year. So even when things are cold, they're still pretty warm. And with war activities starting to track up, we're seeing values get up there in the higher values for destroyed counts. So things are looking healthy going into January, and it's going to be a good time to be a producer and a market maker with the new war on the horizon. Now, I did say that I had some predictions about Plex and why I think I'm going to change my tune from last week. So we're seeing the traditional signals in the market, right? We're seeing that supply is starting to slump, and demand should be higher as people need to get cash to participate in the winter war. the next thing that we see is now with the economic numbers out this week, is that cash supply has finally crossed the 1 quadrillion mark, which is astounding. And this actually fills me with a little bit of dread. Our ISK velocities are very high and very healthy, and I'm very happy with this over 0.8 ISK velocity. It means that a lot of people are buying and selling, and that ISK isn't just sitting in wallets and collecting dust. But this cash growth is higher than expected. I expected to be about 15, I expected only to just crest the quadrillion mark, not actually cross as strongly as we did. And so my 2 cents on this, and I'm going to go do a big write-up in the blog, hopefully this weekend, is that as long as the ISK velocities stay high, this kind of income is fine. It's a balanced system. Things are hot, but they're working. If we lose much more ISK velocity over the upcoming weeks through January, if this dips down below 0.7, that much cash in the system starts to look unhealthy. We start seeing that for all of the talk of blanking out the casinos ahead of Ascension, we end up seeing we still end up seeing a wealth problem and a cash flow problem that can get very out of balance very quick just because of how much heat is in the system. And so it's not all doom and gloom. It's just a warning in that I think we're not seeing the mining levels do what I expected them to do post Ascension. We're seeing cash levels continue to rise. We're at least seeing high velocity, which is the one good sign here. But if that velocity slumps in February or March or April, we could see a real rally on Plex that could push us to brand new highs. So this is a really unstable spot to be in. Now, thankfully, there are more places to park your ISK these days than there have been in the past. The Citadel markets continue to be hot. New ECs are replacing old industry systems. In general, more people are doing more activity. These are all very good signs. It's just that one bad month could see us in the ditch pretty fast and pretty hard, in my opinion. The thing that continues to fill me with dread is this bounty number continues to climb. We've seen month after month after month straight growth, and even with Ascension launching, we haven't seen any abatement. I did expect some amount of Radar hours to be converted into mining hours, which would have taken some of this cash flow out of the system. But now that we're on what is the 6th straight month of bounty climbs in a historical, the highest they've been in 2 years, almost double what they were 2 years ago, has me thinking that we may see more substantial nerfs come FanFest. And if I were CCP, I would be announcing those actually ahead of the CSM running, because this is a problem. These are troubling numbers in my book. And if the mining incomes aren't going to bring us back down to the 1.6 or 1.5 levels, I'm going to worry that we're going to have runaway cash stream, and that runaway cash stream is going to run straight into Plex, and it's going to make alphas converting to omegas really difficult, and really it's bad. I don't really want to see 2 billion ISK Plex prices. But if we don't get these income streams under control in the next couple of months, we could be stuck in a weird runaway that causes the prices to spike. So the long and short of it, right? I've gone on for at least 10 minutes about this. What's the TLDR, Lockefox? The TLDR is one. I think in the very short term, the next 4 weeks, I think Plex is staying relatively stable. If you're looking to hold Plex for 3 months, now is the time to buy, in my opinion. It's going to be a hard sell to wrap up that much ISK in Plex. It's a big bet to take if you are not already prepared to take it. But I think the 1 billion ISK Plex that we have today is a pretty decent buy, a 75% confidence kind of buy. Personally, I would be so personally, and take this with the largest grain of salt you possibly can, because I am usually a week late to the thing. I would be waiting 1 more week to see the actual winter war start moving things, because though we're starting to see some of the signals make it to the market, I still haven't seen the really convincing big continuous fights that we expect to see. I still think that we're a good week out from meaningful activities starting, but we're at a crossroads, and I have a positive outlook on Plex in the medium term. And if you're a particular if you're a tinfoil hat wearing disasterist, emergency preparer guy, stocking up on Plex this week may not be a bad idea. Next, the next piece of the economic report, I wanted to go over the thing that was particularly jarring beyond the ISK supply thing that I just love ranting about, is holy shit, is Delve productive? Those bees down in Delve are working their little asses off. They are leading the entire cluster in mining value by almost by some 50%. They're beating out the Forge and Lone Trek, and Cobalt Edge is the next nullsec that's leading this. But we see Domain at 1 trillion ISK and Delve at 2.3 trillion ISK worth of minerals extracted is absolutely gobsmacking. And remember, as Noisy Gamer is pointing out in the Twitch chat, the Rorqual extractors are not in these numbers because there's still a bug in tracking those numbers. So we're still seeing so much material come out of Delve. And I've said in the past that I think self-sufficiency is a pipe dream, and it's for weird prepper people who live in the mountains and think that believe in pyramid power kind of stuff. But holy fuck, is the Imperium proving me wrong? If we look at the industry numbers, they're number 2 in the industry numbers, only behind the Forge. And that is just absolutely has my jaw on the floor. They are producing like gangbusters at almost 20 trillion ISK worth of value being produced there. So for all of the shit I gave about being a self-sufficient economy, and I would love to hear from any of the people running the show down there, because holy shit, am I impressed with those numbers. This might be some of the reason why we're not seeing impacts on the market, is that one of the big players is basically doing all of their business internally. And now it's tempting to say that, well, if they're doing it internally, then we can't possibly know, and throw your hands up in the air, and up is down and left is right. But the takeaway I have is that even if one major party is on top of the ball, it takes two to tango, and if goons and PL and maybe the Russians are going to war, then a lot of the more general line members are still going to leak out of the internal machinations and show up on the major markets. So don't you worry. We do still see signals. I'm not out of business yet, but that's absolutely amazing. Like beating out Citadel and Lone Trek. So Citadel plus Lone Trek is a little over, is just about 30 trillion-esque. And Delve is at 20 trillion-esque. They're they are a high sec. They're matching high sec for production capabilities. So this sort of feeds into my idea that we're still going to see a price crash in supers, that if you're going to be that productive, the price washes out somewhere. But man, that's absolutely astounding. One second. Oh. One second. Okay. So let's go ahead and move into minerals. Minerals continue to be interesting. Tritanium was tanking over December, but is starting to track up off the 5.0 mark. Again, I expected this to be in higher supply, but with those Delve numbers and the fact that it doesn't seem like a lot of that material is leaking out, this is interesting. This is credence to that claim. We're seeing that supply lines are starting to track down, and the prices are tracking up. I'm wondering if this is just a function of the slowdown during New Year's, and I wouldn't put too much credence in this jump yet. I think that 5.0 is basically the price you should expect for most of January. If war activity grinds on and we see a major, B-R, O-M or whatever, we might see things get off this 5.0 mark, but I think it would take some real sustained interruption to get there. Pyrite, similar story, coming off 7.0 to land at 7.5. Again, we're seeing a slump in supplies. I do have a tinfoil thing, but we'll save that for the end. We do have a slump in supplies, leading to a spike in prices. But again, you could say that this is just the New Year's vacation washing out. Mexilon, holy shit, fuck. Going completely nuts this week. I had thought that 65 was going to be the top of this thing, but supplies continue to be anemic. I actually expected more of this coming out of HiSec now with alphas out there and people just getting together and running dumb fleets where you just BS on TeamSpeak. And it's really interesting to see the prices over 70. I don't think this will be sustained because I think this is going to get too lucrative to remain as high as it is. But we are in a particular shortage at the moment. So if you are a cavalier and just like to gamble, we could hit 75 if we see another shortage spike like this. It's unlikely, in my opinion. So it's a pretty big gamble. But if you like spinning roulette wheels, this might be your thing to buy. Isogen was showing some strength, but is tracking back down to 65. Again, I'm going to chalk this up to supplies are going to still continue to be hotter than demand. Isogen, I really don't love talking about anymore. Supplies are stable at the moment, and this is I think we're steady at this sub 70, 65-ish range for the next few weeks. Next is Noxium, which had been showing some weakness, but is turning around, hitting 380. But supplies are getting hot, and we should expect prices to hit this 350, maybe track a little bit further down. If you're speculating on your supply chain, I'd be watching Noxium this weekend for a sub 350 price. I don't know if I would do it for long-term personal speculation. I think it's going to be hard to get a price over 350 for the next 4 weeks, but this is a good chance if you're an industrialist to maybe buy 4 or 5 weeks worth while the getting's good and stash it away. Next, Zydrine. Holy crap. So we saw some heat after Ascension, and I've complained about this ad nauseum that with the new mining changes, I expect a lot more of the top-end minerals coming to market. And then I was wrong. And then I was very wrong with Zydrine almost at 12K as of this show. And what we're seeing is a big buyout right before New Year's and anemic supply over the New Year's break. So this is an interesting signal. This, and if we look at Mexilon doing a very similar trend where we saw a big buyout and we just saw another big buyout tracking the price to 1.6. We've lost about half of the supply in the market, and the whispers I've heard on the grapevine is somebody might be trying to build a Palatine between the productivity of Delve, between supply shortages in the high ends and minerals. So I'd have to run the numbers. And so take this with a grain of salt, is that a Palatine takes a ridiculous amount of cash to build, right? But the thing that's not said there is that it also takes a ridiculous amount of supply to build. It takes the combined output of the entire market a few times over to build one. Like even if you had all of the cash on hand, and you went to like every station in all of Eve, you wouldn't be able to get all of the materials you need. Even if you bought out every single one of the things, you especially in the PI markets, you'd need several months of output to even come close to being able to build the thing. And so what I've been looking for in my analysis is a sort of sustained buying, keeping the supply chains weak. And we're seeing these big buyouts in minerals, which I did chalk up the last one to EC, super capital ECs coming online. But if I were a supply chain master trying to get the materials to even build this thing, you'd have to spread it out over months. And I mean, that's kind of what this looks like. Again, it's not mostly minerals, it's mostly PI, and the PI markets have not been as convincing. So this is major tinfoil, like top grade, military grade tinfoil. So, but I keep hearing whispers on the grapevine that it might be happening. this would be the sort of thing you could post on a Reddit thread and be laughed out of the room for. So I don't know. I'm just echoing what I've heard. If it's happening, I'm not yet convinced. Again, I expect to see it in the PI markets, but with as productive as Delve has been, and the fact that a lot of that is not even going through the market interfaces, it's going basically uncounted. It's really, really hard from where I'm sitting to even to be able to say yes convincingly or no convincingly. So put that under your tinfoil hat. Next is Morphite. We saw some heat right ahead of the war, but we're coming back down to the 10K mark. So if you have not sold out, the party's over. Please get rid of your Morphite. We should be back under 10K in a couple of weeks. It's a decent time to be to aim to buy some. I'd be looking at something in a 9.8, 9.5 if I were looking to stockpile on Morphite. But I think that it might be 2 to 3 weeks before that time shows up. We're not seeing the Tech 2 demand to slurp up this extra supply, and I think we're going to see the prices droop in the next couple of weeks. Moving on to fuel, things are remaining steady from last week. We're seeing a little bit of strength come back into the markets after a particularly weak December. Looks like people may have stopped mining stuff that isn't worth it. We're also seeing things start to get to closer to a normalization point around 650, 675. Seeing as basically, if you're running a Citadel, you can use any fuel, so why use the expensive stuff? If we zoom into fuels, we see that things are pretty steady overall. And remember, for Galente, it's actually the hardest fuel to mine. All of it's in 0.5 security space and high sec, and I don't know of anybody who actually mines it in null sec. It's really it's far away from hubs. It's easy to gank in. The traffic is it's the worst place to be a miner is in Galente space for Galente Ice. So I do expect a premium on Galente Ice. And if you are one of the Ministry of Love people trying to do an ice interdiction, you do it on Galente Ice, stupid, because it's actually possible to do, as opposed to Caldari Ice, which is all in the highest security spaces and is spread out enough that it's really hard to interdict, as opposed to Galente, which all happens to be very close to each other, all in 0.5 systems, and works out for the best. So that's where we're at. Fuel blocks, not a lot to say here. It's trending to where we'd expect them. Strontium, we're finally seeing that buyout I was complaining about last week. This is one of the war signals. Is we should see a supply drop in strontium, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We've gone from about 675 to just over 7K on price, and big buyout. Now we're seeing supplies come back. So I expect prices to come back down off the 7K mark. So if you're holding it and you were waiting for a better price, I'd be out of it by this weekend. Heavy water, we saw a big buyout right before the war when all of the shit posting on Reddit was going on. But supplies have recovered. It looks like whoever needed to stock up on barred charges has done so. So I think this party is over. And if you needed to buy some, this 300 ISK price is super tempting in my book. Next, moving on to Outliers. Now that we're like 10 minutes behind the show because I am indulging in all of my tinfoil theory crafting. Starting where we usually do in advanced materials, things are really quiet in the advanced material markets. I did see a couple of signals pointing to positive trends in nanotransistors, But if you remember the last time I said that, I was wrong. So we're not going to go through that breakdown again. Just that, again, if you're a gambling man, nanotransistors might be a buy this week. We're seeing, I don't think the spike in ferrogel is going to stick around. There's nothing to hold it up. So that should be back down again. And the Tech 2 market is just super anemic. This is the thing that is... this is the thing that gets me, that frustrates me, is that we just, with all of the action has been in pirate ships and Tech 1 ships, and we don't see Tech 2 ships really leading the fighting meta at the moment. I'm not seeing big buyouts on bombers or interdictors or interceptors or heavy interdictors or heavy assault cruisers, other than the Cerberus. Things are really, really cold in the Tech 2 ship market, and the only thing holding up the demand at the moment is the Tech 2 capital market. So I find this extremely strange. I am disheartened as a long-time Tech 2 producer to see things so anemic, and as a Moon Goo speculator, there's nothing for me to talk about, which again makes me sad and makes me opine on the stream to everybody who probably doesn't care. So moving on, speaking of pirate ships, Macariel's big buyout this week. Prices should be back down again because supplies have recovered. It looks like, I mean, this looks like when Iron Bank bought out the market, and then the market flooded back in to refill. We may see when we go through the PvP numbers. It's a popular ship, so if anybody gets whelped, supplies will need to rush in to fill. If I were a speculator in Macariel's, I'd be aiming for something in a 320-ish range, maybe a little bit below. But I don't know if you're going to get there during the Winter War. But if you watched really closely, this would be a decent time to be on your game as a speculator. Next, and to my shame, I don't have a zoom in on the rest of the Logi ships. Scimitars are very high at the moment. As expected, if you're going to war, you need space healers. Prices are tracking up, supplies are getting thin, but do keep in mind that when this sort of pattern happens, industrialists tend to flood the market. So keep an eye over the next week, maybe 2 weeks, for the price to come back under the 150 mark coming up. We're right now at a little over 180, and this price is ridiculous. We should be back down under 150, and it might even dip down to 140 if you're watching particularly carefully. I don't expect this to ramp twice though, so I would not be buying in at 140 with the expectation to sell at 180. I'd be buying at 140 expecting to sell at 150. Next, Concord Capital remote capacitor transmitters are up big time. There isn't a ton of volume in the market, but the prices have spiked, which I found somewhat interesting. None of the other capital repair mods really struck out this week, so just highlighting that if you are a Concord LP speculator, prices are very high at the moment. Caldari control towers. This is an interesting one. So I had ranted at Ascension that I expected all of the high-sec towers to come down, come offline, and be replaced with... so these Caldari towers would be replaced with ECs. And if you're sitting on a bunch of Caldari sticks, the price is particularly good at the moment. I don't know if this is rejiggering down in Delve to get more reaction pauses going, if this is just a weird shortage. But if you're holding on to this stuff, the the time to sell would be now. So personally, like I have so many Caldari sticks in my assets because of various production endeavors in the past, and I might actually go cash them out at this price. So that's at least a thing. And then I think this is the last one: micro jump field generators, the little trolley modules that fling people around, the little deployables that fling people around. Those are spiking. That's strange. A lot of them are selling at the moment, about 400 a day. Not sure who's doing it, but I would love to see YouTube videos of flinging fleets around. So I'm really interested to see if this is actually a meta or what the hell's going on, because that's an interesting buyout going on. All right, next we go into prediction review to see if I know what the fuck I'm talking about. First, we start with the Stratios, which last week I said was particularly high, especially thanks to... it wasn't... there was an event or something. I forgot what it was. Whatever. I said that it was high, and it was interesting that it was high, and I actually expected it to come back down to 200. Looks like I was wrong about the time frame, but the supply chain is starting to recover. So if you're not sold out, like if you're bought in, you need to sell. Prices are going to be coming down in the next couple of weeks as these supply chains get back into rotation. And the chat is saying that Sister's Skins might be the reason. So sure, I'm way behind on my next promotions. And then everybody's favorite, the Gila, is continuing to be up as what I believe to be supply chains being thin as people go to war and stop ratting, but the supplies are starting to track back up again and prices are coming back down. The buy orders are starting to get into a tempting spot. I'd be aiming for a 200 if I were a speculator. I think you could play some of this margin spread right here and make a decent amount of money. Just requires a little bit of extra patience to get it. And then last but not least, we go into the violence report, where we see, hey, look, a bunch of Macarials got owned. That goes with the Macarial data. So look for these. This is where a fleet gets whelped, and Macarial prices spike about a day afterwards. So now that I've spoiled that market, even though parsing the Z-Kill board data is a real pain in the ass. Otherwise, everything is staying relatively the same on week to week on here. Nothing much to say in the rotation. Our popular systems F4 R2-Q is extremely hot. I'm not sure who is fighting where. Again, I am woefully behind. But this looks like a Ford Azar getting exploded. And then if we look at regions, Ketch is extremely hot at the moment, and the rest of the regions are pretty quiet. So, Chad is saying 2 Ford Azars got exploded, so that's definitely what would peak that number. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Words are hard. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. We had a pretty decent turnout this week at what looks like, about 50 people. Holy crap. Thanks again for everybody who tuned in live. If you want to tune in live, the very best way to do so is on our Twitch and our YouTube. We are live on Friday nights at 0400 Eve time. That is Thursday night US time. The show gets auto posted onto YouTube, so you don't miss a bit of it. If you want to follow the show, the very best way to do so is just remember Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. I should have a report out this weekend doing a year in review economically. The way the latest economic numbers have come out, and I at least owe you guys a December report. I'm going to try and do a year-long one. We'll see how it goes out. And then last piece of news, be sure to come join us on our shiny new Discord. It's down in the doobly-doo below. I do like chatting with all of you guys. It's always interesting to hear from everybody. And yeah, that's a thing. I can do this. Last but certainly not least is that if you want to support the show directly, the very best way to do so is at our Patreon. I've said very best too many times. Even $1 a month goes an extremely long way. It keeps the show ad-free on the air every week. Keeps us in hardware, keeps us in software, keeps the lights on, and keeps me accountable to you guys. So if you can support us, if you do get value from the show, I would greatly appreciate your support. If you can't support us, feel free. Just remember to subscribe. I do like seeing numbers go up and to the right. We've crossed 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, which is more than I thought we'd actually get, and we're almost to 1,000 on Twitter, which I'd love to actually happen. So that's a thing. So let me go ahead and end the show. I've been your host, Lockefox. This has been the Eve Prosper Show, and we'll be back next week with more market news and more tinfoil hatting and more graph porn. And that's a show. Let me stop the thing. Stop that. Oh, and Sven, I appreciate it, but like if you're going to measure the entire market in Plex, then the only market you're ever going to trade in is Plex. You can. You can be if that's your measuring stick and you need to put a trillion ISK into the market, well, I feel you, bro. I feel you. But that's not how the show is run. Actually, no. Like 75% of the show is run that way. So, like, I don't know what you want. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. It's a really great turnout this week. Where are the posters? Oh yeah, it's all just green screen, man. Yeah, see, green screen. Magic of the internet. Do I still have the one queued up for work? That's not the right one. Probably removed it. Because that would have been smart. I don't know. Oh, because that's not mapped anymore. That's why. Nope, I don't have it anymore. I do have the coolest room for broadcasting, though. Let me go find the... I really should just pin the stupid tweet so I can find it whenever I need to find it. Because I have to share it all the fucking time. Yeah, there it is. My studio. And there you go, YouTube. You can see it too. So Wayward Dream. So I Wish New. Sorry. Is asking what I think about buy orders. So, buy orders are weird. Because when you're looking at the stats for them, it's extremely cheap to fuck up the numbers, right? Like, I could say that I could screw up the buy order volume on Plex today by doing a bunch of fake things at a low price, and I think the feed does chop out some of the most ridiculous numbers, but it's easy to fuck up the numbers. So I don't put a ton of credence into the buy order counts. The sell order counts, though, those have to be real. Like, you have to have the asset to be able to sell it. And it's a much more useful metric. It's the supply line in my supply and demand graph. And then if you really want to get technical, the demand side of that is given by the in-game regional sales numbers. So it's I don't love buy order numbers as a thing. Now, watching buy orders for floors, though, is, I think, extremely useful if you're being a day trader, because you can, for instance, instead of playing the 0.1 IS game to be at the very top of the order book, you can watch the demand and move orders down and up the chain to grow your margin. So if you think, for instance, that things are going to fall, well, you put your orders down a couple percentage points, and so as the price falls and people sell and sell and sell, they'll sell through you, and you'll end up getting a better price. Same with sell orders. As prices go higher, you put your orders above the line, and as prices climb, they have to climb through you. So you may not make all of your money. You may not be making your money immediately, but you're making more money with less effort. So it's an art. I'm still not very good at it, but yeah. Let's see. A lot of questions this week. Wayward Dreamer is asking, do you think the perimeter thing will affect the market in the short term? So, until I went through the market numbers with a finer tooth comb, I thought that the perimeter citadels exploding was going to put downward pressure on Plex as the buy floor loses strength. But looking at the other metrics, and in general putting a positive outlook on the price of Plex, even if the buy order floor weakens, I think the sell order pressure is going to take us off of that weak floor, and it's not going to drop through the floor anymore. Like it doesn't matter that the floor is weak anymore. The price has risen off of that floor, if I may abuse my metaphors. So I think the prices are going to go up. I think that if it explodes, it's going to be interesting, but largely not a non-event for the market. Loud Noises is asking that he's moved his indie operations to MCs, and Kriba endorsed the Sodio in Bastrogen. I am not on top of the meta for what Kriba's project is. If that's part of the Citadel network that people are talking about, I don't know. I don't have a ton of faith in that thing. I mean, make hay while the sun shines. If you can get in there and the fees are good, why the fuck not? But if it's way out of your way, I wouldn't bother. Also, if a lot of people are going to it, it's going to bring up the industry indexes, and you might just eat your lunch on industry indexes and not make any extra money. Big graphs mean nothing. Total ISK means everything. Yeah, so Sven, you're right about net trade being the key metric, but that's the key metric if you're already big money. For the idea is more for the general populace to try to give content for all the tiers. So your Plex reports and your mineral reports are for people like you, where you have a trillion ISK and it needs to go somewhere. And the Outlier reports are more for interesting opportunities for people in the lower markets who may want to go understand a thing to understand the way things work or get their feet wet in a less competitive market. Because the extremely high margin work of making 1,000% or some shit like that might be super try hard and might net very little ISK in the end. But like if you're an alpha, that might be your way to get into that market. It might be a way to understand the trends and by owning a small market or a niche market, be able to move from that up into something that is bigger and better, and cut your teeth on something that doesn't break the bank when you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So that's why we report on all the markets. I understand I hate reporting on things that sell like 10 a fucking day, because those things are so, like, the second I say it on the show, like, if 2 people jump on it, it's going to be destroyed. If 1 person jumps on it, it might be destroyed. So yeah. Let's see. Moving on. Day trader. Day trader, I'm just using the definition that as a station trader, as a speculative trader, someone who makes their money on just playing the buy and sell orders. I'm also going to include arbitrage in that, where you ship items between places, but you do no other value add other than the shipping. That's what I mean by day trading. Loud noises. Just working my way down the thing. Viable, blah blah blah. New character ones. Nanoribbons. I always get asked about nanoribbons, and they never trigger my stupid thing, but... See, I didn't cover nanoribbons because T3s weren't interesting. And... Here, let me put it back up on that. Nanoribbons are up, man. Like, this is why I don't... that's why I don't cover this stuff. Like, it never goes the way you guys say it is. Trying to move meta market, playing the one escape for a few weeks. Yeah. All right, I'm caught up again. Great. Holy shit. CCP Avalon. I am honored. You missed all the graphs. So let's see. Do we have any more? I see no new questions in the chat. So Sven, I don't totally agree with you. Like, I get I get that market, and I get what you're getting at, but there are a lot of markets from the learn to trade something easy, you know, and from cornering ammo or cornering pirate stuff to doing core basket stuff. Like there's a lot of different markets in there, and they specializing in any of them requires a different different approaches in different markets. Like Tech 2 production is its own thing, and speculating on moon materials is one that I'm particularly fond of because the way things move around. You can speculate. You can drive the pirate implant markets. Is another interesting one that keeps coming up on our analysis. So there's not just the, you know, play the big plays and it's obvious, but like again the point being that I want to show that there are tons of opportunities, and that like we give the material reports for the industrialists who even though a lot of people don't listen to me and still fucking stockpile, maybe they can stockpile a little better and they lose less money sitting on a giant pile of shit. The there are a lot of ways to there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, from going through and I sure hope that's my Discord. Ah, come on. Because then you're going to make me 2FA. Oops, nope. Disable. I want to see that button, that button, that button. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is one of mine. Sorry, I know my buttons. I don't mind cross promotion. Like, felt bad I had to delete somebody's earlier, because I'm like, I don't mind cross promotion, but I expect you to contribute to the community before you cross post. Aw, thank you, Mr. Stats. There's another Eve Market show? Oh, wouldn't you look at that? Neat. Well, welcome to the show, Mr. Stats. I'm sorry I didn't see the tweet. I welcome another market trader into the place. That's awesome. Can I put this back into streamer mode? Streamer mode. Streamer mode. Keep your stick on the ice. Oh yeah, I like using my confuser to make really skookum graphs, because their skookum is frig. Icon buttons. Anyway, so just watch AVE on YouTube, guys. Like, he is my favorite at the moment. Up in Kanakistan. Wow. A lot of new followers this week. Holy shit. I should do one of those obnoxious integrations that make people dance. I'm so bad at at the Twitch thing. I don't know if you guys saw, like, it had to be 3 months ago. There was so Hyper RPG is in town, and they invited me to go play Rocket League on their stream with the thing. And so I'm the only one who actually can who actually has any skill in the thing. I'm not even that good. And everyone else are these ADD over the top, streaming personalities, and I'm like, oh, you know what I do? I stream about graphs, and I'm super, super serious and try hard on the show. And I am not a standard streamer. Like, I go to the Twitch meetup in Seattle, and I'll be there this weekend. And like, the people there are lovely. I love hanging out with them. There's a lot of cool guys and gals, but like, oh man, I am so not in the demo, man. Like, I am a freak. If you're in the market for a jump freighter, this would be a pretty decent time to buy them. Let me go look in. Let me go look. I have my jump freighter plot handy. Let me press the right button. I've got too many windows. Desktop. Actually, it looks like it's a perfect time to buy. ARCs are cheap. Anchars are trending down. Yeah, like this week is a good one. Next week should be a good one. With as much weakness as we're seeing up in the high-end Moongoo markets, I expect that to get reflected into the jump freighter prices. And no, I wouldn't pick based on fuel. I'd pick based on capacity. So your Anchar and your Rhea are top of my list. I know there are a lot of people who love the ARC for the model, and I feel ya. And it's the good time to buy an ARC. But the Anchar and Rhea are top of my heap every time. Oops. No, ARC is cheapest. Well, no, Nomad is cheapest, but that's because nobody just does the Nomad. Rhea's most expensive. I mean, I get it. The ARC is sexy, right? Like, but you're buying a space truck to move shit, so that's why I go with the Rhea. Oh, Jeronica, I'd love to talk about my slide automation because it's going really badly. Oh my god, that problem is pissing me off. So, while I wait for more questions, I'm going to rant. So, I sat down over Christmas thinking, oh, Drive has opened up all of the automation for all of the things. I can finally automate the show. This will be easy. I just need to move the plots onto the profile and push it onto the internet, right? Easy peasy. I already know how to make all the graphs. I just have to locate them, put them in one place, and get them all fucking done, right? Wrong. Oh god. So it became about four times more expensive than I budgeted to actually get the shit done. So, one, the Google API is powerful, but really, really hard to work with. Like, there's just a lot attached onto there, and it is complicated and powerful, but like, I really need a fucking library. I really need a like add slide, some sort of Jinja templating or something. I don't fucking know, because it is ridiculous. Two, I can't push the images up through the Drive API. They have to already be out there on the internet somewhere. So I'm stuck with either hacking it through an SCP push up to the eveprosper.com, which I don't love, mostly because whatever hack I do is not going to be recyclable. It's the sort of thing you do with a Perl script, and if you do it with a Perl script, like, it'll solve the problem, but it won't be transportable. Or I put them up on something like Dropbox or Drive and then link them. And so I went going through the APIs, and like Drive, Dropbox, and Amazon Cloud all have APIs, and the Drive and the Amazon Cloud one look very similar, extremely powerful, but oh my God, rip your fucking hair out, complicated. Like, you need to make a machine that can talk to the machine that talks to the machine, is what it feels like. But Dropbox has integrations into the on-desktop app, which let me do things like, I put it in this folder, hey Dropbox, what is the share link for that thing? And it'll fucking tell me, which was great. So I finally found that solves that problem. And then last, I need to figure out about OAuth automation, since it's going to be a command line CLI app that just runs on a cron job. So the I have to go dig into keyring, because I'm not saving my passwords in plain text, and I got to figure out about putting together a dummy account that can push it and doesn't need two-factor authentication. And I don't know, I don't have a great solution for that yet. That's sort of this weekend's thing, if I can get to it. I got a really busy weekend though, so we'll see if I get to it on Sunday. But yeah, like, I finally got through rewriting the R profiles, so I can just build the plots for the show, and I can do like 75% of the plots right there ahead of time. I got the CLI app started, because thank you Plumum for being amazing. You can follow at Prosper Slides on GitHub. But I still need to get the Dropbox integration running. I need to actually write the RPi2 integration still, because I have the profiles. I now have to do the slide deck maker, and then I still haven't touched the last thing I'm going to end up touching is the Google Drive integration. So it got a lot more complicated than I expected. And then put on top of that I'm on crunch on work to get a rather big project out of the ditch that we left it in 3 months ago, because I love my coworkers, I love my team, they are amazing, but we worked on this project, and it was really hard from a computer science architecture perspective, because it was literally the most complicated piece of code design I've ever done. And it's it doesn't look like much, right? But like, it was really using parent and child classes and using meta classes in Python to pass data through the magic methods and import lib to treat the functions as function pointers, to do all of that stuff. Like, it was seriously a complicated design, and like, it didn't help that while in the middle of it, like, I hit the worst bit of uh, writer's block for coding. So like, this project has been my albatross, and so my boss is like, no, we're trying to launch the big thing that we're launching, and we really need to get this testing infrastructure up. So you just need to go in and make it work. And so I've been working on it, and I hate 6 months ago me. I'm a fucking asshole. Okay, I'm a half asshole. Turns out, like, it's just that I didn't understand what to do for the app and library integrations. Now that I know what I'm doing, and then I'll eat my word in 6 months. But like, I redid the installer and the automation this week. I'm reworking the metadata handler today, which I ran into a big fucking wall on because I don't know which half of the app it goes on. I got it pushed onto internal PyPI so that you can actually automatically install it. And I still haven't done the build integration to make sure that it can find the build and find the tests and execute the test. I still haven't redone the debug architecture so that you can run the tests on your local box to make sure they actually do what you think they're going to do. I'm pretty sure restart is completely hosed, but I'm willing to go back on that. And then the thing my partner worked on, like... This is going to be me doing the thing that I complain about constantly, in that, like, one of the number one things I hate working with devs is the whole, fuck you, I'm going to redo it. Like, whatever you did, it was wrong. I'm going to redo it. Sit in the corner until it's done. Like, that attitude from developers really pisses me off, and I'm going to end up doing it. And I don't like doing that. It's disrespectful. It's mean to my teammates. It doesn't instill trust. But like, we talked about it, and then what he showed up with was not what we talked about. Like, I built this whole meta class skeleton that you hang functions onto that can automatically then, you fill it out like a kind of a programming template is what it ends up being. And then it executes and has all the magic already cooked into it. And his half was supposed to look like that, and it just fucking doesn't. It's not testable. It's not easy to run. So I have to gut it and leave a new framework in, and then I don't know. I don't want to rewrite the whole thing by myself, but I don't know what to fucking do. He continues to not listen to me, which is a pain in the ass because yeah, it's just like, okay, so there's a Python hitchhiker's guide out there, right? Like, and it basically tells you everything you need to know about writing decent Python. It outlines your best practices and why the best practices are, and it's written very down to earth. It doesn't quite have the asshole streak that Learn Python the Hard Way has, but like, it's correct, right? But sometimes it doesn't really justify why it's correct. And then you go and you make a thing, and you come around to like step 7 in your process of like making the thing. So like, this is what killed us on the work project, is that so we made a web app that was it was a REST all the things talk to each other using REST endpoints, and it's a test architecture that stages stages tests onto physical machines, then runs them, then collects the data, then produces analytics. It runs through this factory for running tests, right? And this is an NDA, so don't worry about that. And so we built these apps, and they work, and they're great, and we get them deployed, and we stand up your Linux stuff, and we're all smart enough to know how to like technically solve the problems. But then my boss comes around and says, okay, now I need you to make an installer for it. It needs to be packageable and portable. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And then I start doing it, and we like all of the sins we did were the sort of things that when you write a setup.py make life super difficult. Like the shape of the project was awful for trying to get a setup.py going. It's like, this is why GitHub projects that are Python look their way, right? They look a certain way because all of the Python infrastructure is designed to handle it this way. Like if you write like a Pythonic developer, life is easy. That one. And like we had made really small sins in the thought that like, oh well, but this is what it's going to look like on the product, right? Like when you deploy it, you're basically going to move the whole project into a certain folder path on Linux, and it's just going to work. No, no, this is not how you make projects. It turns out, so I only ever use it. So the Hitchhiker's Guide to Python, I only ever use it online. And it's my go-to for just like the simple things. I don't know if I'd buy the whole book unless you really love reading programming books. It's a excellent source, but it's all online. So what we ended up learning, the TLDR to the end of this thing, is that like you have to stack your modules to be able to deploy correctly. And if you do it correctly, it's actually not that hard. Like if you structure your project to work in setup.py and you use wheel to build it up, like you can structure it pretty easily so that the way we're going forward, and this is a talk I'm actually working on, is that you build a library of all of the functionality of your app, right? All of your not your REST architecture, all of your crunchers and all of your cachers and all of the other like working pieces of code go into a library. That library gets slurped up and packaged and put onto a PyPI instance. Underneath that, the application is the application layer where you actually build the infrastructure. So your Flask package all goes in one place. So you put Plumum on the front of it so you can control it, and then you put all of like your endpoints and all of that working like web-facing application code is isolated from the library code, right? And you think to yourself, why are you doing all this fucking work? Why don't you just put them together? They're going to be together anyway. And it turns out the reason is that you can use something like DH virtual environment to package up the application and the library together, where the installer is going to install the application, and as a dependency, it's going to install the library that has the brains of the application. And then you can put the environment together in a Docker so that you have layered all of the dependency chain together. So you have the brains of the thing moves independently of the API of the thing, moves independently of the environment of the thing. and it's it looks like a lot of extra work, right? But doing it right the first time ends up making it so that you can move all of these pieces completely independently of each other, and then deploying becomes so easy. Like the second I got the installer running for our web app, uh, our downtime was almost completely eliminated, uh, because any bugs that got introduced, well, you could roll it right back because the versioning, we just had not RPMs, DEB files of every release, and you just roll it back in one command. You could do the build chain and have the tests integrated into the build chain in one command, and if the test failed, it would fail the build, and you could go back and you could fix it. Like the reason that the OHLC endpoint that we provide for EP080 hasn't gone down for 3 months is because I wrote the installer for it, and it's installed like a professional app, and it restarts itself when the system goes down, and it reports when things are going wrong. And I've had no issues with it because instead of making it a hack-a-day manual bullshit thing, I went and integrated it into Unix the way you're supposed to, so that it's a service on the box, and it has auto restart, and it's reporting to the syslog if things are going wrong, and it has, I'm pretty sure it has Discord chatbot integration, so if things go disastrously wrong, a human gets notified about it. Like, and I don't even have to think about it. I haven't had to think about it for 3 months because I installed, I took the time to set up the infrastructure correctly. And so I'm still trying to get my hands around the Docker stuff, just because I'm really shitty at Unix management. But like you basically make that its own piece of the puzzle dependency, and so that, okay, well, the app can change. Great. Well, maybe the app doesn't have to change and you just have to update the Apache code. Well, the Apache is all part of the Docker container, and that can move completely independently of the libraries inside. And so you don't end up with, well, I had to add more threads to the Gunicorn instance. And so now I need to rebuild the whole motherfucker and relaunch it. No, you don't. You just have to update the Docker container, and when the Docker container reinitializes itself, it'll pull all the right versions of all the regular code, and you only have to move the one piece that changed. So that's my learn to code the right way speech. It's fucking hard. It takes a lot of work. I constantly am feeling like now, and now I have to get cookie cutters standing is the next thing on my to-do list. Because the all of the work I've done for the last 6 months in learning to code, build projects correctly, to structure projects in a way that don't make you want to kill yourself, 90% of it can be automated. And Cookie Cutter is a very powerful app that lets you build cookie cutter applications. I just haven't had a chance to finish it. So I'm hoping to get that standing so that when I give my 3-hour long training sometime in the next 3 months, I can be like, okay, well, the TLDR is you hit the cookie cutter. It spits out an app, and then you do this thing to do the thing, and then you put this stuff in this box and this stuff in this box, and the logger's already integrated, and everything talks to everything already. Like all the infrastructure is already baked in, and you already start from 25% complete, but your 25% start is all correct, and you're not going to have to go rework that at the end because you didn't know better. So we'll see. I'm going to be busy. And Zero Shiva, I don't need Eve to. I got my job thanks to Eve, but that's because of the person I met. And the work I do is statistical work anyway, so you know, um, Eve is just the easiest outlet to get my hands on data and do stuff. But that's changing. It's actually getting easier and easier to get your hands on pretty powerful data. So with that, we are getting really close to out of time. Um, I hope I didn't bore everyone to tears with my code rant. That looks like I basically did. That's fine. If the watching now numbers are right. Hey there, Beaky. You should come join the new Discord. Links are down below. I mean, so my passion for learning to do it right is that I came from a job where they basically didn't give a shit about doing it right. Um, it was that I worked with a bunch of electrical engineers who were very smart. We're all equally smart. Some more equal than others, and the thrown in this deep end of like write these massively parallel half machine level, half hacky C level, bleeding edge test environment, written by a bunch of people who just don't have any experience with high grade code development. Like they're smart and they can do it, but they don't follow any best practices. None of them know what a linter is. Like I had to train people what JSON was. People would do regex parsing of XML because they didn't know any better. Like it's the I have a hammer and I am smart. I will make it run with as much duct tape as I possibly can. And I mean that gets to you like and double down on that is that in school I studied power because I couldn't code. And uh like and then I got a coding job because they lied to me and I didn't expect it to be as heavy a coding job. And so like Eve saved my career in that regard because I could work on problems at home and catch up to where I was supposed to fucking be. Uh, and Through things like the dev fleet, learn like what are the platforms out there? What are standardized things? What is REST? Why do you use REST? How do you organize a database? How do you even do database calls? Uh, like all of this stuff was thanks to the fact that there were low hanging fruit thanks to the dev fleet um, to let me work on some of those problems in my free time and get to the point where I wasn't a complete waste of space as a developer. But the more I learned from the developer sphere at large, the more frustrating it became to work with these guys who had, these senior engineers who had spent 10 years in the department doing it their way. And then, but their way was like single letter variables. And they're doing all of these their structures are 5 or 6 layers deep, and they're rewriting core library functions 4 or 5 times because nobody knows that the stuff's already been written or that somebody's like. I'm willing to bet you that percentile calculating functions in any of the code bases that were running in production, there had to be 5 different 5 different percentile calculators because no one would import a library. Nobody could import a library to do it. And nobody knew where like the percentile calculator was. So they'd just rewrite it every fucking time they needed it. And it eventually got to the point where, you know, you make you're sort of stuck with that. You know, I hit the 4 or 5 year mark on my career there, and I'm wanting to do bigger projects. I'm wanting to, you know, make a real difference now that I know where all the bodies are buried and why we do things the way we do them, and feeling like I'm actually getting some shit done, and just running face first into these senior engineers. Like, why would we ever do it differently? Because we've been doing it this way for this long, and I've managed to make it to, you know, senior tier whatever. What the fuck do you know? And it's so like I'm stuck with like wasn't good at coding in school, and then I took a coding job, and then I learned just how little I knew after 4 years of coding there. And then I got hired at a real software development house to do test development. And I love the work, but oh my God, I still feel freaking retarded about, like, I still don't understand how continuous integration really works, right? Like, I understand the value of it. I get the whole underpants gnomes thing about it with, like, the continuous integration catches bugs, and the earlier we can catch bugs, the better off we'll be. But like actually building CI and how to call CI and what actually gets run in what order, I still don't fucking know. So thankfully, I'm at a small enough firm, I'm in a small enough department with some really excellent team that's ready to say, okay, let's build, you know, let's write the style guide for our Python stuff. Let's develop the build chain in a way that doesn't make us want to kill ourselves. Let's solve these problems. Like, I'm in a spot where I can actually make it better, or at least make it so everybody is the same kind of wrong, which is sometimes all you really need. So I enjoy it. I wish I was doing more analytics at the moment. I'm getting a little tired of infrastructure work, but it's paying off. It pays its dividends. I love the company. I love the work I'm doing. So I love I love the town. Seattle is amazing. So yeah, it's like I get to I get to live the dream test wise. Like I am the blessed life as far as tester goes, is that I got to do bleeding edge test in R&D test in at Micron for one of their products, and so I got to be down in the dirt, like crunching millions and millions of die to go find statistical anomalies and prove R&D process improvements, like with the bigwigs at the thing. I now get to do test architecture work, which is, instead of doing the thing that, like, if you were at a Microsoft or an Amazon, where it's like the devs develop and the tester, and then they throw their shit over the wall at the testers, and the testers tell them that their babies are ugly. I get to do infrastructure work instead, where I develop the tools and the devs have to test with our tools. But I get to do the sexy part of test, which is making sure that things actually run, and make it so that you can do tests and get useful information out of them, and be more productive, rather than specifically figure out how to do a buffer overflow. Like, I can't give any shits about buffer overflows personally. That does not get me up in the morning. But developing a system that automatically deploys performance testing on physical hardware, on a physical hardware cluster, that's a cool project. developing an analytics platform so that we can generate tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of different discrete data sources and already have them plumbed into analytics so that when the report comes out the other end, you get the 10 most important things rather than 10,000 I don't knows, which was the problem with the last job. So I like what I do. I don't think it's it may not be the sexiest thing, but you got to do what's fun as long as you enjoy it. And so I'm going to go ahead and end the show, and I'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody, especially those who stuck out to the end through my code rants. Again, we will be back next week, same time, same channel. Be sure to join the Discord. Again, links are down below. And subscribe and everything. I do love seeing new subscribers. Yeah, I am fading fast. So thanks again.